Good Saturday morning, friends. I hope you're doing really well. This is Tracy Brown, your somatic nutrition therapist and attuned eating expert, and it's Saturday morning coffee time. So I will let a few of you get on. Let a few of you get on and see how you're doing this morning. So I woke up feeling very unfocused. And I don't know how you're doing this morning. So I'd love to hear from you below. How are you doing? So good morning, Bev. Good morning, Mary. How are you doing this morning? We'd love to check in. And anyone who is, I see some eyeballs here. So this is great. Hey, good morning, Mary. Good to see you. I would love for everybody to do a little check-in. Like, how are you doing this morning? I got a few things on my mind, my very unfocused mind. So I've actually been sitting here on my back porch for a while, probably a half hour. Yeah. Hey, Jana, good morning. Just kind of thinking about what I'm going to do today and recognizing how unfocused I feel this morning. And that's okay. And that's what taking time to sit is for, which is why I sat here a little longer than usual. So I think I'll just tell you about my morning and we'll jump into my thoughts about focus. Oh, Marty, the sun's finally out. Okay. Well, Mary, let's talk about that a little bit if you want, but I hope everybody has their coffee or their tea or their breakfast. I actually ate earlier. I'm kind of finding it's easier to either just eat and talk about really random stuff or kind of do a coffee chat with some things that are a little bit more in depth, but don't take as much focus from the food. So do whatever feels best to you and right to you. What I've discovered when I do meal sessions with people, I have to do it two different ways. It's either we're talking about more in-depth topics and the food's easier, or the conversation's a bit more light but grounded, and we're digging into like a little bit more deep issues around the actual food intake. So I have to do it two different ways. So today I wasn't feeling like something like maybe I feel a little bit more deep today. So I ate before this and could just drink coffee with you. Well, Jana, that's good to hear that weekends are easier for you. And I wonder what that's about. Maybe this is a good time to reflect. Since we're all sitting here together, let's reflect on right now. Maybe what feels easy, what feels hard. And if you're not sure, we're going to talk about a way to know real quick, because this is why I'm out here today, to teach myself about why I feel lack of focus this morning. I know why, but I've been sitting out here for 30 minutes to like take some time to figure that out. All right. But I do want to go through like a little morning roll call here. One, make sure you have your coffee or tea or your food, if that's something that you needed some support with making sure you do this morning. Marty, I'm glad the sun's finally out. Actually, it's thundering. I don't know that you could hear that, but it is thundering, and I'm hoping it rains like crazy. We desperately need it. And it's like rumbling, it's building, which is it's a really cool time to be outside, actually, which I enjoy. So for you, Marty, the sun is great. For us, it's going to rain, and I'm so excited and grateful. We need it badly. All right. So, Mary, I'm so sorry your body's hurting. And I didn't know you had back issues. I'm sorry to hear about that. And the lack of movement's probably a thing around that. And it's so tricky, right? To like know that movement's helpful. But when we have our usual go-tos that maybe we can't access, it does make it hard to shift gears, I think, and get clarity about, well, what can I do? So maybe that's some time for us to then contemplate this morning. Okay, so Jana, you have more support, helps with care. Did it really? That's really cool. It's thundering at your place too. Yeah, I can't wait. We need it so much. So, well, let me get a drink of coffee and I will talk about focus, because I'm needing it, so maybe you do too. All right. So when I think about focus, yeah, okay. So Mary's saying that she's struggling with movement too right now. And it's like I know Mary. So Mary, I know that you teach fitness classes and you can't do that. And your focus has to be on, well, how do I support my back? Not how do I move for the sake of having to teach others. Appreciate your rain. We needed it for sure, Mary. Appreciate you for that. So I want to talk about focus. And lack of focus can happen usually when there is not enough yield. And so what yield means is, can I hold still? And I talked about this a lot this week, is the root of a lot of not knowing what to do with your food, not knowing what voices to believe that you hear in your head. A lot of that comes from a lack of, I can just be present. And so I probably spend 60 to 80% of my sessions with people focusing on being in the now, enough to where people can accurately feel how they're feeling and not get it misinterpreted as inaccurate hunger and fullness signals, or to get themselves all kind of bunched up with like, what should or shouldn't I do with my food? So that's what I spend the majority of my time, building safety with people, learning how to get really clear about who's going to run the show. Not me. What part of you needs to be in charge to basically be successful with intuitive eating and to fully recover from disordered eating. I think both of those are totally possible, but it has to come from a place of like, every single meal, we have to yield enough. And how do you yield? There's a level of, what comes first? Do I need to have a focus to like know what I'm doing here? Or is it like I need to yield to remember my focus? And so for I think most of us, to be able to know what we're doing here right now, or to even know if it's safe for me to be here and do what I'm doing with my food, we need to be able to yield. So everybody just practice that right now, like we did on Friday in the same video, we did yesterday's video, is if you're moving around, I would advise you to stop and find a wall to slide down on and all the way down to the floor if you can, if your body will allow that. Or if you're in a chair, in a recliner, I'm sitting back here on a chair with a cushion, is let yourself really land here as much as you can. Like finding where your butt and this cushion or the floor makes contact with each other, and finding where your back, scooch in a little bit, meets this cushion. And you have to give a little push. And then push down. And find where you make contact. If we don't do these things, we're just going to be in our head trying to make decisions from maybe an intellectual place, maybe a knowing place, or it could just be the decisions you make when you're 16 about your food and about the world or how I should be in it. We don't know, right? Like I don't know when those beliefs were created. So if you can do it from a here and now place, this cushion is supporting me, I can feel the fabric or the texture, or I'm on the floor and I can feel the hardness or the coolness or whatever, that's the place we want to be acting and thinking from. So there's your yield. And now it's like, can you push in? Because if we don't have something to, like, if we don't ship with what we're doing, again, we're just flailing. So if your desire is to eat to a comfortable level of fullness, not under or overeating, you have to have a relationship with yourself in space. You have to know where you're at in time. And we want to have a relationship inside ourselves. Like, okay, not just with your which is really important because that's the one doing the digesting, but it's also with your heart. And that comes to what focus is. So if I didn't yield today and push, I wouldn't know my relationship with where I am in space, what feels like on my heart to talk to you all about, because what feels important and what I see is up in the world is like we're all beat down, tired of the uncertainty. And because of that collective, I don't know what's safe to attach to, I don't really know what I should be doing. Because is this safe to attach to? Is this video safe to attach to? Am I multitasking so I don't fully land here with this video? With my breakfast, with my coffee, and with the people here? If I'm not landed here, I can't fully discern like what's good for me to take action on. And so then I'll just listen to the autopilot in my head. And that could be spinning just nothing. It could be multitasking of too many thoughts, and then you feel overwhelmed and you don't do anything and you shut down. Or it could be we get focused. And we can only get focused on our recovery goals if we're really clear in our bones. Like, yeah, I know what needs to happen. I need to get more support. I need to call Tracy up for a session. I need to have somebody actually help me meal plan because I don't feel like all of me can get on board with that for myself. I need to let myself just eat the food because I know that's the only way. I've done all the other things. I've tried to track. It doesn't work for me. If you have that conviction, but then you're spinning about it, that means you don't have enough access and relationship with the here and now truth of whatever your hunger and fullness is, what your body's saying it can digest or wants to digest easily and well, or the level of fullness that feels most comfortable and gives you like the energy to go about to do your day. So focus doesn't come from like lots of mental lists that you write down. I mean, that's important. But sometimes the thing that actually helps people make a list of what they're going to do today or what they're going to do with the recovery that's most nourishing and effective is they sat down. And with pen and paper, they use their tool, their body. It's like, okay, this is what I need today. And the sitting, and the landing was what did the work. And the mind was just open now to do it. Or it could be that I need to sit and be in relationship with something to know that I need to reach out to other people and reconnect. Because right now in our environment, things are very disconnecting, or we're not sure what we actually need to connect to. Or we're connecting to something that's like 6 months from now that may or may not happen. Or we're connecting with something that was from 20 years ago and it doesn't really match our current circumstances, but we're reliving it again. Okay, so those are the things that make it hard to focus on what do I need to do today to feel more down and in my body where accurate hunger and fullness lives. So does anybody have any questions about this or about your experience of doing this and what the difference feels like when you're more grounded and have like focus from like your gut and your heart and your conviction, not from the world, what the world says you should be doing with your food? What's your experience of how they feel different? And especially that body experience. Like, does it feel, oh, yeah. The questioning feels up and twirly and disorganizing. Oh, I don't like it. The feeling from my toes and up feels like I'm solid and I'm here and certain. Or maybe something different. What do you notice? And so the reason I came out here on my back porch this morning is to find that for myself. Yes, Mary. So Mary asked, so you're saying to connect to what we need to sit and focus on how we feel in our bodies. Yeah. Yeah. So Nikki is saying, how do you access more of the here and now when it's hard to focus on what your heart and gut and conviction are saying? Well, what resources do you have? Do you have this couch that helps you know that like something's supporting you? Do you have, I hear thunder right now, so I can use my senses to help me, oh, it's thundering now, 2020. What do I need this day in 2020 with my food? What would help me eat the food that I need to eat? What would help me know how hungry I am? So use your senses, use your sight. So a sight resource would be, I go in my cabinet and I look around and take an inventory of what I have. Does any of that look like something I want? Or do I need to go get more food? And that was the barrier to satisfaction. I just wasn't stocking enough. So that's your sight. Hearing. Sometimes, like if your brain's spinning, we need to use our other senses besides our sight. And we need to use our hearing. What do I hear around us? The birds or the thunder. Or maybe it's too quiet and you need some breeze sounds to help you. Maybe you need some music. Maybe you need to hum. To use our bodies, it's like maybe this isn't enough support for you to sit and like, and your head's still spinning, but you're sitting. It's like, well, maybe you need something that's even more contact. A pillow on your lap or a weighted blanket on your lap. Maybe you need to have cushions on all sides of you to help you know what your body container is if you feel like you're flailing. But it's really important, especially if your mind is trying to always run the show and you get easily up in your head, is you have to use your body as the resource. That's about your only main option when your brain's spinning. You can distract yourself, and that's a good thing to do too if it gives you clarity. So if you know, I'm going to use Mary as an example here. So if you know your back is hurting, but it's hard for you to push up through, like basically like a push would be like, oh, instead of sinking into like, oh, my back is hurting and there's nothing I can do. And the only way I know how to help my back is if I'm teaching, is like, that's a mind thing. That might not be a right now thing, a 2020 of what else is accessible to you. So we need to stop and push down and up. Like, okay, what did I do in those classes that helped my back that I could give myself? If you're having a nourishment barrier, which is like, I'm not allowing myself to reach and take in the movement that would be good for my back, where inside myself do I hear or do I know? Like, where that, like, what is that barrier that says, if you're hearing like, well, you know, I've got things to do and I'm spinning, it's like, maybe you just need to sit here a second and lay on the floor and actually let your body move, help you move it in a way that would feel better. So I lay on the floor and it doesn't feel good here. Okay, good information. I'll lay on my side. What happens there? I move my arm this way. What happens there? Before you know it, you're building this relationship with your body in a way different way because we allowed something different to happen because we yielded. And it starts from the yield and the push. Yeah. And we get really stuck in the movie of like, I can only feel better if I do X, Y, Z. I can only feel better if I lose weight. I can only be happy if I lose weight. I can only like my body if I lose weight. I can only be safe if I stay thin and I don't eat. And those are stories from the limited resources we had from the past. They're not necessarily true now, but we might need more yield and push and connection and asking to get information from the body container. So Marty is saying, I have felt a sense of peace during this quarantine about my body and my food. And I think that's because I had to slow down and yield and I'm focusing more on me. That's totally true. I think a lot of people are having that experience now. For some people, slowing down has been excruciating because they're feeling all the feelings that were ignored because they weren't slowing down. But for some people, they've just been so hungry for the pause, but they couldn't yield to give it to themselves for whatever reason. So in your usually busy day and crazy life, You just haven't had time to be with your thoughts and your choices. So now you know that the missing piece probably most of your life was the yield. And people often don't yield because it hasn't felt safe to be here in some kind of way, like to fully be here. And you may have felt like that the only way for you to exist here was to be a human doing, or to prove your worth, or all the things. And now you're recognizing like the earth doesn't shatter if you're not hyper productive or whatever. And some people don't only learn that through major things like this. And then some of us recognize, I don't want to yield. But it's the conviction, this is the only way. I will not progress if I don't. And doing the scary thing and doing it with pillows and with sight and sound and support, and having maybe even somebody there to help you, to be there with you in the slowdown. So faith is saying, when I find that making a change is vital. If I'm sitting and feeling upset, I need to stand up and stretch. Then I do that and I can see how I feel. If I'm doing stuff and I'm feeling stressed, I need to stop and rest. Beautiful. So you're using your body, actually. You're not even using your mind. You're noticing what's happening in your body. And if it's revved up, we need to come down. If it's feeling like I'm a little inertia and I don't know what to do and I'm feeling a little frozen, I need to move. It actually is as simple as that, but I know that mentally our mind blocks us because of all the other experiences and stories we have. So on that note, I really appreciate you all. I'm coming to find these Saturday meetings have been really nourishing for me personally. I hope they've been great for you. And I would love to keep this conversation going. So please, y'all, keep connected to each other. Tag me if you have some more musings or thoughts about where you kind of get stuck with your food, your body image, what actually is working, so other people can read about what's possible. And what I love about this group here of people that I know that we're all from different backgrounds, different experiences, different struggles with eating, with movement, with body image, different ages, different backgrounds. And so we know that change and healing is totally possible. It really is just a matter of taking the time to build some dual awareness. And dual awareness is like, can I bring the implicit, which is what's inside, what is actually happening in your body organization, what are the stories that we're still holding on to that actually aren't true, but they just are, they're felt experiences in our body, and to make those explicit, meaning it's out in the open and I can witness it and I can see it, and that's where choice comes from. It doesn't come really from like white knuckling. It really comes from like, oh, I can see what's happening. I can see how that story is with my food. I can see that like really what I need is just to follow what I know I need to do, which is like, I do better when I write out what I'm going to do with my food, so I know what's going to happen and I can just stay grounded and focused and go to the next thing. And for some people, that's the best thing. For some people, the body container isn't feeling quite as disorganized, and so when it's up, we can bring ourselves down. When we're down, we know how to bring ourselves up. And that's resilience, that's capacity, and that's you doing a lot of organization work on your body container, which when we do that, it doesn't seem like purposeful weight loss even makes any sense to do. And that's the point of yielding. So thank you all so much for coming today. If this video was nourishing for you, both because you ate during it, you drank your coffee during it, and you found something useful and helpful, please pass this along to folks, because I don't think this is a message that's out there very much. We're all really trying to mentally do the intuitive eating thing, and it doesn't work that way. It's an embodied process. So if we're having struggles with that, then we need to try something else. And I think this is the addition that pretty much everybody needs. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye for now.